should know. I have never really liked you at all. I cannot hide it anymore. I've been thinking about the future, trying to forget about the past. So many ways that I could change for the better. Don't even know where to begin. If I allow myself to dream, will it be as good as it seems? Pull me out of this place in the middle, in the middle. Nothing more to embrace in the middle, in the middle. If I try to climb up the wall, everyone can see when I fall. Take me up into the mountains, send me off into the wild. Misery is still a path I would choose if the alternatives are worse. I guess it's time to find a friend, one who will stick by to the end. Going out of my mind in the middle, in the middle. Wasting all of my time in the middle, in the middle. I take a bite and spit it out, unaware of what it's about. I'm not that good at faking it. I feel somehow I've broken it. I don't believe I'm part of it. In the If I try to climb up the wall, everyone can see when I fall. Nothing really matters at all. Pull me out of this place in the middle, in the middle. Nothing more to embrace in the middle, in the middle. Hey y'all, we're gonna go ahead and get started because I have a stream for 1:30 today. So I wanted to go over this with you. I think it was Lorraine. It might have been somebody else that asked if there's any more emails between Jessica and Stephan Sterns, and there is that have not been released, and I will release those. I'm going to talk to you guys more about that on the 1:30 live stream. Now, this is what I have. You said it's happening now. Let me shout y'all out real quick. I saw that Solistic Glow is here. Solistic Glow said, whoop, whoop, hit the like. Let's go. We're going to watch some soap making for a second because that's what I was looking at. He's actually there too. He's sick, said Kim. Roxanne, good to see you from Mount Shasta. Mount Shasta, where is that? Hey, Anders, good to see you, love. Jenny Jen, my love. A1 from the day one. No, good to see you. Happy to catch a live from the UK. I wish I was in the UK right now. Lorraine, good to see you. Anita, good to see you. I wonder what, yeah, they had a hearing. I haven't looked at it yet. My lovely mod, Xiosandra, sent it to me. Mama Mia, good morning from Southern California. Happened 30 minutes ago. Thank you. Screaming Daisies, good to see you. Haven't seen you in a while. I'm glad you're here. Okay, so yeah, I saw she sent me the information on this and I was like, "Oh, we got to talk about it. We got to talk about it right now." I missed it cuz I was working on cleaning out the goat pen because I just inherited two goats. So, thank you guys for being here. It's about 49 minutes long. We're going to try to go over it before today's live stream that's scheduled for 1:30 titled Accountability, and in that stream, I am going to play some music beforehand, just some like actual, like, mainstream music because it's a drama stream. We won't be doing our normal intro, which I guess today we're not doing our normal intro. Anyway, let's go ahead and watch this and see what happened. Hold on just a minute. Look at him. There he is. He didn't look at the camera this time. I wonder if that's because he knows Jessica is not looking. Norma, good to see you. Good morning. Corey, good to see you. Joy, sound is terrible. Okay, let's see what we can do. Hold on. We have closed captions now. Let me mute.
No problem. Tagging on the first motion, Alex Johnson for the defense. We'd like to address defendant's motion to remove newspapers from courthouse during pendency proceedings.
All right, thank you.
As to argument for this motion, defense did have pre-marked this morning. I would move into evidence as defense exhibit one, what's been pre-marked today. A copy of the Osceola News Gazette that was present in the lobby this morning, which directly addresses the Stephan Sterns trial to begin July 22nd.
So he's talking about media and directly addressing the Stephan Sterns trial scheduled to start July 22nd. Hey, Lou. Face makes me want to vomit. Cara, good morning. Good to see you, love. That weirdo walk. Exactly. Sounded terrible. Judge rules paper can be removed from courthouse lobby. He can wear street clothing and will have leg restraints or taser. Can use a felt pen instead of court issues pen. Okay, thank you for that, Nancy Jean.
Page in the newspaper.
Right?
Has no position here.
Thanks. You received the defense one for purposes of this.
God almighty. I wish they'd fix that sound. Like every hearing's been like this. You'd think they'd have it fixed by now. So that's definitely a newspaper.
This motion with the
Thank you,
recent
Roxanne.
motion continue. The trial is set to begin next week in this courtroom. And as jurors, potential jurors and jurors that are selected in the trial walk into the courthouse, right in front of security or right beyond security is a slew of newspapers, including newspapers like the Osceola News Gazette, which every time we've had.
So there was a motion, and she told me there's new court documents. I'll work on pulling it up real quick. Michelle has been a member for 7 whole months. Oh my gosh, we're gonna have a YouTube baby soon. Thank you for being here, aka Stalky. It's good to see you, love, and thank you for sharing that milestone with us. That's amazing. I'm so glad that you have been a part of our speculating family for 7 whole months. That is awesome. Thank you for sharing that. That made my day. Nancy Jean said no additional restrictions on non-professional reporters like YouTubers or social media other than no phone use. So that makes me think that it will be streamed, which I figured it would. They should know that people from all over the world want to hear this. They should, and they should fix the audio. Right. Hey, Callie. Good morning. Patrick Peterson. You remind me of one of my favorite high school. Okay. Well, that's nice. I should have read that before I put it up on the screen. I have been good. I'm glad that you had everything taken care of in high school. Hopefully, if you're trying to find that woman again, you will find her. Best of luck to you, Patrick Peterson. Michelle, love you too, sweetheart. Good luck with that, Patrick. I'll learn my lesson one day.
On the front page of the newspaper.
Good morning, Miss Kimmy.
The newspapers constantly indicate that there's both a sex case that is currently pending, which is what we're here for this morning, as well as a capital murder. So defense is requesting that just during the pendency of the trial, not ongoing.
I don't want to keep pausing, but Sweet Liege had a good point. He actually thinks he has a chance. Says a lot about his thoughts on what he did and how little he thought of Maddie, as if folks will see the proof of what he did and turn him loose. Right. I'm with you. I'm with you, and I agree on that. Lou, if you back up, it's still there, but I'm not gonna highlight it again. And I appreciate the moderator that removed that. I thank you so much. My moderators remove a lot of comments really quick. The problem is StreamYard doesn't remove it, so I can't see the comments that they have removed, and I need to be reading them before I highlight them. If you back up just a little bit, you can pause it and see what he said.
We're going forward, that we remove these papers so that way the jurors, as they come in, go about the courthouse.
Right, the state takes no position. I have confirmed with jury services that jury services do not provide newspapers to potential jurors. Court always has to be careful balancing the right to free press and the right to open and fair jury trials. I do find that should there be newspapers available where the jurors, can you give me some guidance as to where this table is downstairs? Is it over by the employee area? Is it where the general public would come in?
It's where the general public comes in. It's so if you're looking at the first floor, there's the area where you go to the elevators, and then there's the mirror there.
Yes.
It's the table's right in front of that.
Progress screens.
Yeah, exactly.
Good morning, Soups.
I have inquired as to our court administration who provides the newspapers. I think that's a county function. We have proactively reached out to the county to see if we can suspend the delivery of newspapers during the jury selection process and throughout the trial. So your motion is preliminarily granted. The court will direct parties that provide the newspapers not to do so during the jury selection or trial process.
They're talking about jury selection.
Smith?
Yes, Judge. Defense would next like to proceed on the defense's motion to order all media to adhere to the rules of judicial administration and administrative order. Essentially, Judge, defense is asking, according to, as the rules require, that the media, and since defense is on the left side of this courtroom and the media is positioned directly behind us, their cameras intentionally and inadvertently, I'm not saying that they're doing it intentionally, it's focused on counsel's table in order to get views of Mr. Sterns of that nature. So in positioning, counsel's computer screens are in view of the media. So defense is requesting that the media not be allowed to look at, zoom in on, or otherwise project essentially onto counsel's table because of work product and attorney-client confidentiality. I understand that it's attorney-client confidentiality. We have to essentially affirmatively attempt to protect it. And when you have communications, we mute the mic. However, because the table is so large and spacing, it's just asking the media not be ordered, not be allowed to zoom in on our computers or our computer screens. Under the administrative order, it says that communications between attorneys and their clients, between counsel and co-counsel, or anything that's held at the bench is required not to be recorded or broadcasted. So the defense's position that anything that's occurring essentially at counsel's table in terms of notes, whether that be handwritten notes or computer screen notes, not be looked at. The defense has taken affirmative steps to have a privacy screen and additionally dimming the lighting on the laptops. However, even with that, it still is doable for the media, and sitting in court with dim screens and dark lights for multiple hours is going to cause headaches, but also to protect not only Mr. Sterns' confidentiality, but potential other clients' information who we're working on while here in court. The media to look at zoom in on computers or counsel's
At this point, I think they're doing it on purpose. Right now, they're talking about the media. They had those motions filed about newspapers being in the courthouse lobby and things like that. It's all media related. Nancy gave us a good breakdown of what is going on. A one-way street, good to see you. I'm glad you're here. Stephan is worried the jury can be tainted, says Anders. I'm trying to make sure to kind of keep it quiet so that we can hear. But like at this point, I'm like, are y'all purposely like not talking into the mic? Is that what we're gonna do now since we are going to make sure that the media is there? I mean, what are we doing? Hannah on Discord, she pointed out to me that Stephan Sterns lawyers are the same lawyers who defended Anthony Tott. I don't know that case. I have to look into it. Good morning, Miriam. This is getting old on their part, the volume, what's happening with audio. It's just horrible. Horrible. Number 2, thumbs up motion here, Your Honor. I love it. Yeah, like, I'm like, are y'all doing this on purpose? Hey, Psychic Amelia, good to see you.
The state doesn't have a position. However, I think if the court is going to issue an order, it needs to be everybody in the courtroom, not just specifically.
Are you saying to the state as well, in terms of media personnel, or anyone not being able to do it?
There's a lot of amateur media people that will cover this trial, and they use phones, from my experience in other high-profile trials. So the order should be broad enough that it covers everybody in the courtroom, perhaps even an order that people in the gallery should not be allowed to have their phones out during the trial. Yeah. Sometimes they need daily reminders, sometimes they need multiple daily reminders, but they also focus on the state's computer, and we are obviously against that for the same reasons.
All right, our relationship with the media has been a good one. They're an essential community partner. And as I said, the court's going to strive to ensure that this is both an open trial and a fair trial. The days of passing notes back and forth are behind us. A little experience working with each of the attorneys here. I know that your coordination with witnesses, with each other, with presentation, with evidence, highly computerized. We'll expect that the media will comply with Florida Rule of Judicial Administration 2.450, as well as our Administrative Order 2023-23. That order is fairly specific.
So far they're hearing, I said I was going to do it and then didn't. So far they're having hearings on like the possibility of the jury pool being tainted. They're talking about the motion that they filed about the newspapers. They're talking about people having their phones out in court. That's what I've picked up so far. Let's talk about it real quick. I'm going to pull this up. Hold on just a minute. I'm trying not to like scream in your ears either because I'm sure y'all have turned up the volume on your TVs. Okay. So let's see. Right here, like this one that was filed June 25th, defendant's motion to remove newspapers from courthouse during pendency of proceedings. That's what they were talking about with the newspapers. Heard about that. Let's see. Order denying. Oh, we talked about those. The jury trial was set. Motion for the court to order all media to adhere to Florida Rule of Judicial Administration 2.450 and administrative order. And we'll look that up when we get done listening to that. We'll see what these are. Administrations 2.450. We'll look that up. Defendant's motion to be free from physical restraint and to use normal writing instruments. They're going to talk about that from what Nancy said. Motion hearing set for today at 9 a.m. Felony court minutes. That's where they put it in, like after court, and basically what we're going to find out because we can't hear, but I'm still going to watch it. Is order. It's felony court minutes, so that gives us basically the transcript. Order motion hearing held to be free from physical restraint denied, so he's going to be restrained. Motion to use normal writing instruments granted. felt pen to be provided to defendant, sworn and testified for the state. Ricker, Ricardo Rosario motioned for the court to order all media to adhere to Florida Rule of Judicial Administration. Granted. Okay, so he's going to be restrained. He's going to have a normal writing device. And then we're going to look up that code, but it's something to do with the media. I think it's basically saying they can't have phones out. And it says, granted evidence entered for the defense, Exhibit 1, case to remain as set. So it's still set to have trial in a few days, start trial. But we're going to jump back over here to the YouTubes and watch the hearing. So basically, that's what we're going to find out. That's what they said in court. Yeah, I don't know what a felt pen is. Hey, Becky P., good morning. Jenny Jones said having newspapers removed from the lobby area to not take the jurors, have media respect, and not zoom in during trial. At least that's what I've gathered. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I'm trying not to talk real loud. Two cans on a string. That's what it sounds like. He wants too much, in my opinion. Psychic Amelia, he wants too much, in my opinion, too. Way too much. Anders said at this point, we'd be better off with walkie talkies. Let me go get my kids. I'll give one to them and we can hear probably better. My kids do better than y'all do outside in their fort in the woods. My goodness, Osceola.
Section 2E indicates that representatives may not cover
Thank you,
sidebar
Nono.
bench conferences in recordings of conferences
Kim, thank you.
or information that occurs between attorneys and clients, between co-counsel, between counsel and the presiding judge, held at the bench. I've done several trials where the media was involved. The only violations of 2.450 in our administrative order, in my opinion, have been inadvertent. Those inadvertent issues were when the camera operator perhaps went to a wide shot that included faces of the jurors during the trial, or there was a microphone that was inadvertently picking up communications through the microphones at the counsel table after the microphones had been apparently muted by the attorneys. These are technical issues. We have a technical team here that the media is absolutely welcome to coordinate with. The administrative rule gives the media an opportunity to meet with our court administration if they have any questions about what the court's expectations will be. The court will expect that media representatives will be credentialed pursuant to the rule. Non-credentialed members will not be permitted to have out cell phones as members of the general public.
So, yeah, okay, so a gel pen, I'm going to see if they have a picture of it. Okay, yeah. So this is like a gel pen. It's like got a rubber outside and like the ink is inside. You can see how it bends. It basically just has when I was in trouble, it just had the ink thing. Okay, so it's like so you can't stab people. It's hard to write with. It bends. It sucks really bad. So that would be the pen he would be made to use. Otherwise, that's why so they have to specify everything with court, right? So if he wants to use something other than this, or like here you can see it bending like that. I mean, they really do suck. If he wants to use something other than that, they have to specify it with the court. So let's look up what a felt tip pen is. I know y'all told me it's like the markers. I know what you're talking about. But I just wanted to show you guys real quick. Hold on. And so they're basically, I mean, everything has to be entered in court motion. So like the Sharpie, like a felt tip pen, um, that one might not be as good. I would think it would be like to keep him from stabbing somebody or doing anything not supposed to. Like these, that's probably more like what it's going to be like. You see how it's like the tip of it isn't like you can write with it better than you could the gel pen, but like you can't really hurt anybody with it. because I mean, people do crazy things, especially if they get sentenced to, life in prison for the charges he's looking at. Good to see you, Bazard. Crocker, good to see you. Is it so he doesn't jab someone in the eye? No sharp writing instrument. Yes. Yep. And everything they do, they have to write it down and it has to be heard in court. That is who I didn't want to say. My best friend lives an hour and a half away. If I had the money, I'd go visit. Aw, Smokey. I'm sorry, sweetheart. You can call her and tell her, let her know. I would, since you can't go see her, I would call her and let her know how much she means to you, and wish her a happy birthday. Good to see you, Tom and Amanda. Like a market tip. Yep. Kara said, I would imagine it can't do any harm. Imagine if someone like Shabusiness had something. Right. Thank you for that. Exactly. Like if someone like Taylor Shabusiness, who we saw attacking her attorney, had a pen like that, it would be really bad. I think he wants to do his crappy drawing lessons, probably. He wrote the poem in jail. Yes, he did. Yep. Okay.
See no issue with the defense's request to have the media comply with the rules that are already in place. And the motion is granted. If representative of the media have specific questions, they may contact my office. I will direct them to our administration personnel, provide a copy of the administrative rule, which I'm sure they are most familiar with, and court rule, judicial administration.
Can't hear.
Expect that will be scrupulously followed in an effort not to impede the fairness.
Lord have mercy.
State, you anticipate presenting any witnesses in support of restraints?
The state just has one.
I saw that Rhonda and Rubber came in. Good to see you. I'm trying to talk low because I know everybody has their TVs turned up because they have just decided to take a crap on the audio here today.
Richard Rosado.
It really is. It really is. Right? Oh, if I can't hear what this person says, I'm going to be real upset. Is that someone from the jail? You do? Am I going to put you to sleep, Joy? Hearing on the motions. I'm going to pull them up so y'all can see them again.
Good morning. Will you spell your first and last name for the record?
Yes, Ricardo, Ricardo. Last name is Rosario, Rosario.
How long have you been employed as a court deputy?
Since March of 2017.
And is your primary assignment to this courtroom that we're actually in right now?
Yes.
Are there policies in place for the use of any type of restraints during a felony criminal trial or an accused?
Correct.
And how many felony criminal trials have you participated in?
You're countless. I can't remember how many.
That's fair.
Hey, Rebecca. I hope not either.
What type of devices
Hey, Miss
or
Jean.
restraints are available that would
Hey,
be
Cindy.
out of the view of members of the jury?
So each courtroom has two, one device is kept downstairs in the first floor, which is a stun cuff. And in the courtrooms, we have a leg brace.
How is a leg brace utilized by court deputies during the pendency of a criminal trial?
So a leg brace is essentially a long bar. It has 4 straps. And in the center, there's a tab that you can pull so the person can sit down. Otherwise, the bar won't bend. So basically what happens is when the person sits, it bends, but when they stand up, it just locks and prevents the person to run away. They would have to essentially hop away because that leg is stiff.
What is the purpose? Let me ask you this. Are there any safety concerns for you as a court deputy in this courtroom should a accused during a criminal trial not be equipped with such a thing as a leg brace?
That's correct. So when any inmate is brought over to the courthouse, they're restraints, handcuffs, and leg chains. When they're brought over for a trial, they are dressed out in proper attire, suit. And at that point, they're in the custody of the sheriff's office, and we have to maintain a level of safety and security for the inmate and as well for everybody else in the courtroom. So that's the reason why we utilize those restraints.
Is there limited staff here at the courthouse for the sheriff's office?
Yeah, so in a perfect day, the felony courtrooms will have 3 deputies. Misdemeanor courtroom would have 2, and civil would have 1. But due to staffing, sometimes people take off or they're sick, and it creates a safety hazard if we're running a high-profile felony case with just 2 deputies. So hence the reason why we use also the device.
Is this device something that is visible to anybody that is looking at the outer appearance of an inmate that's wearing it?
No,
Is this device something that delivers a shock or pulse of electricity or anything like that?
that's correct.
It does or it does not?
It does.
It does. When does that happen?
So if I may, I have the device in front of me.
Would utilizing the device assist you in explaining how it operates?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
Oh,
So essentially, this is a stun cuff that's wrapped around a inmate's ankle and it's tucked away under the clothing. There are 2 metal pieces here that is close to the subject's skin, and the strap is placed accordingly and wrapped not tightly but snug that it won't fall off. The remote is this right here, which is kept at all times with a deputy within the courtroom. Nobody knows who has it. It's hidden discreetly. No one sees it. To activate this it's a 2-step process. There's on, and then there's fire. So the device won't accidentally fire on itself. It has to have a 2-step button to fire the device.
In the device,
so there was a couple of really good comments that I wanted to share with you guys real quick. First of all, Alex said, so we've got 5 years of SA pics and no breathing little body. I got 0 sympathies for this creep, and I agree. Rhonda said Maddie didn't have a choice. Cara said, I'd be fired if I had access to that stun belt. Whoops, my finger slipped. Sorry, I sneezed and squeezed it. Yeah, I don't know if that would be allowed because it sounds like you have to first turn it on and then hit the fire button, um, which is, important to know. Like, and I think that's why it gets. I think they say that he will be having some kind of device on like that because, you'd have to turn it on and then fire it. It's not possible to accidentally do it. Roxanne asked us all, why would Stephan Sterns see an advantage in going to trial? What are your thoughts? My thoughts are that they're not going to do a plea deal and they aren't going to offer one. And here, Sandra Firelight put out a video showing why she explained why. I she explains the plea deal scenario thing and why she kind of tells us why it's probably not possible. And I do want to go over that with you guys. I'll try to do it in this video if we have time. They should put it on him and demonstrate, no doubt. Anita, real quick, lastly, said that the person on the stand is talking about it. They can come in and cuff from the ankle or worn like a heavy belt across the waist. Thank you for that. Cindy, thank you. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for gifting 5 memberships. That was so very sweet of you and supportive. I'm not going to play the song because it would probably be really loud. And I think that people have their their TVs turned up, so I don't want to blast the speakers. But those went to No No, Beetle DB, Mayla's mom, and Cuff You, and Bon Bon. If you received a membership from Cindy from sunny South Florida and you are aware, please tell Cindy thank you. Thank you so very much, Cindy. I really appreciate that. That was so sweet of you. I don't think there's going to be. I think Xiosandra explains the situation and why it's not. He wants to be on death row. He feels that it is safer. He talked about that with his parents. He did. You're right. Are they going for the death penalty? Kim, I think so in the homicide trial, but they need to prove an aggravating factor first. I think he could get life on this. I'm in Florida. I cannot see Mr. J offering so much as a root beer barrel to his ass. Right. I don't see a reason to offer a plea, honestly.
This isn't triggered by movements of an individual or anything like that either.
That's correct.
And is this something that is utilized by court staff in addition to the leg brace that you described?
It's one or the other.
So there's 2 options that are potentially available to court deputies depending on the scenario.
Correct.
And both of these options are outside the view of anybody that is looking at the outer appearance of an individual as long as they're wearing pants.
Correct. So when we put these devices on the inmate that's scheduled for trial, it's out of the view of the public, it's out of the view of the jurors. No one knows that the person set for trial has it on.
And let's talk a little bit about writing utensils. If there is an inmate present in court, are they given a writing utensil?
Yes, they do. They get a flexible pen.
And those flexible pens are made available by court staff to individuals that are participating in the criminal trial process.
Yeah.
And what is the purpose of court deputies providing that specific type of writing utensil?
Essentially, the pen, it does write well, but is used sort of for a safety purpose in the event that the inmate would like to use it sort of as a weapon. The pen is designed to fold and flex as opposed to another pen or a big pen or a metal pen that can actually be used as a more deadly device.
It's a safety concern for court deputies.
Yes.
Can I just have a moment?
Of course.
Look at his ugly mug sitting there. Yeah, it's a worldwide case. Miss Sarah, good to see you. Love you too, sweetheart. Right. Let him be creative like Letitia's wall art, no doubt. Becky. Real quick. I'll go over while they're there. So basically, what's going to happen and what they're going to say at the end of this is they entered the minutes and they heard an order. There was an order. There was an order on the motion hearing. They held a motion to be set free from physical restraint. That is denied. Motion to use normal writing instruments was granted. Felt pen to be provided to defendant, sworn and testified for the state. Ricardo Rosario, that's the probably the person that's testifying right now, motion for the court to order all media to adhere to Florida Rule of Judicial Administration 2.450 and Administrative Order 2023-23 granted, and there was evidence entered for the defense, Exhibit 1, case to remain as set. So he's going to have restraints. He'll get to have a pen. There was some evidence entered, and the media is going to have to adhere to these codes that we're going to look up at the end. I'll do that periodically so you guys can get an idea of what's going to happen because it's just so hard to hear. Okay. Hey, Emma.
For the purposes of this trial next week, what is the type of restraint that court staff deemed is appropriate for this?
We will be utilizing the stun cuff, and actually this is a newer version. The older version is a much bigger for the box. This one is a newer one. So we'll be using this one right here.
Thank you.
Good morning, deputies.
Good morning.
Now, you talked about the number of deputy or court personnel typically kind of staffed in the courtroom. Are you aware of what arrangements, if any, have been made in terms of staffing for this trial?
None yet.
So you don't know how many deputies potentially would be or won't be in the courtroom?
That's a question above my pay grade. I just will have to figure that one out.
Understood. Now, you talked about two different devices and you indicated the stun cuff is the intention in this case, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And is that because that's generally what's used in this courtroom or because of what?
99.99% of the time, we always use a stun cuff.
So I want to talk a little bit about the leg brace since you did talk about that. Now, this leg brace, this is a longer device. Like it's not as small as the stun cuff, correct?
Right. It's essentially a metal bar. It's pretty long and it has 4 straps.
And to your knowledge, is that comfortable or uncomfortable?
I would say rather a bit more cumbersome because it's strapped alongside the leg of the person, and if they stretch their leg, it'll snap shut.
So essentially, normal movements could cause it to lock up.
Yeah, as soon as the person stands up, it will lock.
And then the stun cuff, I know you talked about this being a smaller apparatus that goes typically closer to the ankle, correct?
Correct.
And depending on the type of pants or clothing that is worn by the person, that could affect the visibility of the item.
Yes. So normally, male inmates will always have long pants, and the cuffs go right around it, so you really can't see it.
But the pants legs would have to be wide enough to kind of flow and fall over so it wouldn't be visible, correct?
Yes, and we always apply to the right leg, which is furthest away from the jurors.
And typically when sitting down, your pants often rise, generally speaking, correct?
Yes.
And so if the pants are shorter, then the stun cuff at that point would be visible likely?
Possibly.
And those straps, I know we saw kind of like the strap that goes around. Where does the extra, so to speak, of that tuck in, or does it tuck in somewhere?
So when you apply this apparatus, it wraps around and then the strap goes through here, so it holds it down.
So similar to a belt, you know how when you use a belt and you have the extra, where would you tuck in, or where does that extra strap go?
It just remains there and it just folds in.
So would it be secured or would it be kind of sticking out?
Just stick it out very, I mean, you would really have to look for it to find it.
Okay. Now, you talked about the two-step process with that remote for the stun cuff. I believe you said it was an on and a fire, correct? So does that mean that once the stun cuff is applied, it's typically automatically in that on position, and then you just have to go to step 2 or something else?
Well, the apparatus is turned on, so it's always going to be on. But to fire it, you have to press the on button again and then press fire.
Okay. And those two buttons are, I don't want to assume, are they next to each other on the remote? Or are they two different areas of the remote?
Yeah, so the on, then you would have to switch over to fire.
So one side is on and one side is fire?
Right.
And I believe you said that typically one deputy has it, maybe between the 3 of you or 2 of you, depending on how many are in here, you guys would know, but none of the other court
Nobody
personnel.
knows who has it.
Just the person who has it, I assume.
Yes,
So you would know that you don't have it, and so if it's only 2 of you, by process of elimination, the other person would have it.
correct. So essentially, when we do a courtroom operation, each deputy has an assignment. One is for the inmate, one is for the jurors, and one is for security of everybody.
Now let's talk about the writing utensil. You talked about this flex pen or the flexi pen, about how it's designed to collapse in on itself. Now this pen still does have a normal point, like that a ballpoint pen would have, correct?
Okay, so because Faith is asking and we are discussing, they're going over the pens, I'm going to show y'all the gel pen one more time. It's very hard to write with. Hold on. So this is a gel pen. That's the kind of pen they get in jail. It has the tip on it. The ones that we had were like this. This is the one that I had when I was in trouble. Looks just like that. It's just got the ink in it, and you hold it, it rolls up. You could actually tie them in a knot. And see, you can see here on eBay, you can buy 100-pack of bendable, non-lethal safety pen, flexible ballpoint pen writing tool. So this would be what he would use in court. I mean, this is what they have in jail. That's what you write with. Okay, it looks just like that. It's 4.25 inches long, so it'll fit about the width of your hand while you're writing. So right now they're discussing him being able to use something other than this. And I'll go back to the one that shows it collapsing in on itself. And they basically said that he'll get to use basically a marker. See how you can bend it like that and it's not going to hurt you. See him right there? So they're going to rule that he can use, hold on. So it's probably going to be a pen like this where it's the tip of it. You can't harm anybody with it. It just, would bend or whatever. Something like that. I'll leave that up just in case anybody wants to see it.
Right.
Would the utilization of, say, a felt pen be something
Yep.
that would potentially not be a safety measure?
Well, we're not really concerned about the tip of the pen. We're concerned more of the body of the pen. It's a more firm structure to be used as a stabbing type weapon.
And with, are you familiar with felt pens? Okay. Now with those, typically that point, it's soft, correct?
Yes.
And with the flexi pens, and even with the stun cuff, those are only utilized for people who are in custody, correct? If an inmate who wasn't in custody was sitting at counsel table, he wouldn't have to have on, or she would not have to have on a stun cuff or a leg rest, correct?
Right.
And writing utensil. If a person was out of custody, they also would not have to use a flexi pen, correct?
We normally give them flex.
Even a person who's out of custody?
Yes.
In terms of, I know you talked a lot about safety. Are you aware of any attempted escapes or anything like that from Mr. Sterns?
Of Mr. Stearns or any other inmate?
Mr. Stern specifically.
No.
Um, Can I have a moment, Judge? Any defendants complain about the comfort of the stun cuff or the leg brace?
I was talking. I said, sorry, hold on. I thought she was going to take a second, but she comes right back. Hey, Blue.
Have you had any defendants complain about the comfort of the stun cuff or the leg brace?
No, so essentially, if the stun cuff, we put it not too tight, so it doesn't impede with blood flow or anything, or potentially injury, but it is placed snug, so this way it won't slip out. So, but we've not had complaints.
So no one's ever complained about like itching or discomfort or rubbing?
No.
What about with the leg brace?
I've not had much use of the leg brace. So the leg brace, to be clear, is if the courthouse has a number of jury trials of that day, and these stun cuffs are placed in the chargers respectively downstairs in our office, and whoever gets there first just grabs them, then we just have to go to the leg brace because there's no more stun cuffs.
Okay. And do you know how many stun cuffs the sheriff's office has in terms of within the courthouse?
Well, I believe we have 4.
And I know you mentioned staffing and things like that haven't been addressed there, so you're not necessarily sure of the logistics of what potential other trials might be needing them.
So normally with big high-profile cases, there's a meeting with the judge, court, jury services, and sometimes our supervisors will be there just for logistics.
But I believe you had said that at this point, you're not sure if it's happened or you weren't a party to it.
Exactly, but I have no knowledge of anything.
And then one more moment, Judge.
Tom said I forgot how much I dislike his attorney.
Not being aware of any like escape attempts or anything like that. Are you aware of any violent outbursts or any propensity for violence that Mr. Sterns has demonstrated during the course of his incarceration?
No, he's been quite compliant with everything we tell him to do, as far as just remain seated and come this way and sit down. He's not giving us a problem yet.
No further questions, Judge.
That's what I wanted to hear. So they said he's been compliant with everything and he listens. He doesn't argue. He's not argumentative. So I don't know. That tells me a lot about his psyche. Like he's not acting out. I think he feels guilty about what he did. But it don't mean shit to me. I mean, I'm sure you felt guilty while you were doing it, yet you continued to do it. You knew it was wrong. We know you knew it was wrong because you hid it. Hey, Nanny. I don't know. There's a lot in this courthouse, isn't there? His violent outbursts would be his mumbling, you can't understand crap what he says. Yeah. Her tone annoys me too, Michelle. Yeah, I'm glad to see it too. So far, trial's still set to happen on July 22nd, I do believe. I think Jen will attend via Zoom. Of fucking course she will. Of fucking course she will. She can't show up in the actual courthouse, right?
Additional witnesses or evidence? Thank you. Defense argument?
Yes, Judge. Defense in this case is asking that Mr. Sterns be free of the as either using the leg brace or the stun cuff, and we're also asking for the use of a regular writing in this case.
Why? Why do you care what writing intensely?
Judge, in prior experience, the flexi pens, they often skip, they often don't have ink, or they don't write well. So when a client is communicating, especially in not using the microphone, so they constantly get questions that are being asked, having a utensil that writes and functions easily and freely as opposed to having to stop, well, not necessarily stop the proceedings, but trying to get a deputy's attention, get us another flex pen, while we're also trying to watch what is being presented, listen for objections or making necessary objections. Essentially, it's a distraction if we're having to make sure that his pen is working, he's able to communicate with us, or being able to read it if it's skipping, so we're trying to figure out essentially what are the holes in the bubbles of what he's writing. Generally speaking, the flex pen in the past haven't been the best.
So the judge really did just say to her, "Why do you care what he writes with?" And she's arguing that the flexi pens are bullshit and they skip and all that. Um, Rio said maybe he's going to trial in hopes of seeing some pictures. Sick POS. I can't believe he's going to trial. I don't know that he had another choice, Rio, but I hope not. I mean, I don't know. We'll see if he looks at the pictures when they put them on the screen. Cindy said it's an act. He feels like if he acts humble, they won't see him as the monster he is. He's delusional as fuck. I agree. Emma said he's smarter than many criminals, by the way, that he don't complain loudly. He is smarter than that. He makes behind the front scene stuff. Yep. Sit down. He's not special. After this trial, Okay, I'll check that out, Cara. Hey, Linda. So now we are to thank him being dressed in a nice businessman suit. He's a nice businessman. We know what a scumbag thug he truly is. He needs no introduction, dumbass. I agree. I think Jen should be forced to sit in the courtroom and face everyone. She would hate it, and it would give her at least a tiny, tiny understanding of how Maddie must have felt about living with him. I agree with that. I agree with that. Linda, good to see you. While we're paused, I will show you. So they're basically having a hearing on the motions about newspapers being in the courthouse and things like that. They order that he remains restrained. He gets a normal writing utensil, and they have some motions for the media to adhere to. And we're going to look up those orders as well. Also, really want to go over Xiosandра's video about the plea deal and why it's not what everybody's presenting it to be, in her opinion, and the proof she has to back that up. He doesn't need to write. That's why he has you as an attorney, lady. Well, yeah, I agree. Sometimes they write stuff like, oh, that's not how this went. She's up there saying that testifying to this, you need to ask her about this. And they do that. He has to go to trial unless he pleads guilty. Right. But there could be a plea deal. You plead guilty and we'll take the death penalty off the table or something to that effect.
And I understand, kind of like regular when you grab one out of the box, if it works good, it works good. So we're asking for like a felt tip, and I understand the deputy's testimony in terms of the safety concern. It's the defense's position that we took a felt tip pen, being it's a soft tip, it's essentially a marker. We would give it to him without the cap, would be sufficient. He would be able to write and communicate with us easily and effortlessly without having to worry about stopping or not working and things of that nature. So we're asking for the use of a regular writing utensil as opposed to a felt tip pen utilized. And then in terms of the restraints, again, we're asking for Mr. Sterns to be free of physical restraint. I understand the policy of the sheriff's office of that nature. However, it's for you that as a case by case basis, not a general policy that applies across the board. There's been no testimony of any escape attempts, any offensive violence during the course of incarceration. However, the deputy actually testified to the opposite, that Mr. Sterns is compliant, that he listens, follows directions, does what it is that is asked. So, and I understand the staffing issue. However, at this point, they're not aware of the number of deputies that will or won't be in court anyways. So the defense is asking that Mr. Sterns be free of physical restraints. Because if he was out of custody in this case, he would not have physical restraints. I know the deputy testified that typically people who are out of custody also use flex pens. That hasn't generally been my experience in this courtroom, but that could have changed since the last time I've done a trial here in this courtroom. The defense is asking that Mr. Sterns be free of physical restraints.
Yes, Your Honor, the state provided.
Before we hear the state's response, No said, I actually feel sorry for his lawyer. No one would enjoy having to represent that piece of shit. Imagine having to sit next to him. Someone has to do it, though, for justice to be served. And I agree. I think that she is very aware that it's a high profile case, too. And if she can get him off, that's going to make her a name in that area and in that community for criminals, like, oh, get this lawyer because she even got Stephan Sterns off, just like Casey Anthony's attorney is well known now because of that, in my opinion. Anita said when it comes to Stearns, the comment, you put lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig, comes into play. Just because he put a suit or well-dressed attire on him won't change the person he is. And I agree with that. Cara pointed out that if they get him on abusing Maddie when she was 12 and under, it's an automatic death penalty trial with Florida's new law. Thank you for that. This is for the CSAM trial, Emma. Blue said there's much more evidence against Stearns than there was for Koberger. There's no reason for the DA to offer a plea deal. What could possibly be the trade-off in this case? That's been my stance since I heard talks of a plea deal. I don't think he sees himself as a monster. He sees everything as being somebody else's fault, and sees himself as a victim. He's a piece of shit. I agree. Basil, stop, baby.
Testimony through Deputy Rosario, who testified as to what type of restraint would be used for this trial should the court deny the motion, the process of utilizing that stun cuff. Also, he testified as to any potential safety concerns with this being a felony criminal trial, and also any safety concerns with the type of writing provided. The state would request that the court deny the motion.
Can I see one of the safety? Do we have one? All right, for purposes of the record, I'm holding one of the safety pins. They basically the internal tube that has the ink in it surrounded by a essentially different than the writing instruments that the attorneys would be using. All right, on the shackle motion, we're not in uncharted territory. There's some case law that applies to this case. Weaver v. State, 894 second 178. It's a Supreme Court case from 2004. In that case, there was a defendant that was charged with a serious crime. In the appeal, they took issue with the electronic restraining device belt in that case. In that case, the defense cited the United States v. Durham, it's 287, Federal 3rd, 1297, 11th Circuit 2002 case. In that case, the 11th Circuit indicated that a stun belt poses a greater threat to the dignity of the courtroom than shackles that were based on a potential that it is reasonable to assume that much of a defendant's focus and attention when wearing a stun belt is occupied by anxiety over a possible triggering of the belt. Interestingly, in that case, there was an accidental discharge of the stun belt that occurred outside of the presence of the jury. The Supreme Court in that case found that the judge's discretion in exercising the discretion to wear a stun belt was warranted. However, in that case, the defendant was pro se and was permitted freedom of movement about the courtroom. So the court in the Weaver case surmised that there was no lesser alternatives other than the stun belt to allow freedom of movement, as well as accomplishing the concerns, which was a concern regarding escape or proximity to the attorneys, the jury, and the court. In this case, we do have an alternative. The court has never had an accidental discharge of the stun cuff. The court has not before had any indications that the stun cup was visible to the jury. The court before has never been presented with the argument that a defendant was preoccupied by the wearing of the stun cup, but in this case, Mr. Sterns will not have freedom of movement in the courtroom. The use of the leg brace, the court as well has never received a complaint about the comfort of a leg brace. Because Mr. Sterns will not have freedom of movement, the court's heard no prejudice to the fair trial proceeding to have Mr. Sterns wear a leg brace that would, in the unlikely event that not be compliant, stand up.
For those of you coming in, I'm trying to talk softly because the audio is so bad. I'm sure you have your TVs turned up. This is what happens. I know I've said it several times, but I'm just going to keep doing it because people are coming in and out. So he is going to be restrained. They denied that motion. He's going to be granted the ability to use a felt tip pen. And then they ordered that all media adhere to Florida Rule of Judicial Administration 2.450 and Administration Order 2023-23. And they entered evidence in the defense, and that was the CO that just testified, I do believe. So we'll go back and continue listening. I'm sorry, the audio sucks. I really hope they get it fixed before court.
And make an effort to exit the court. That would lock and give the resources that are on hand an opportunity to ensure that the court understands that these matters should be considered on a case-by-case basis. The court can see no prejudice. The device will not be visible. The court has not before received a complaint about the comfort of that particular device. In fact, that Mr. Sterns will not be permitted to move about the courtroom anyway. The court can't find that would be prejudicial, and the court finds that a consideration of due to the layout of this courtroom, proximity to the jury, proximity to the exit of the courtroom, and the severity of the allegations and the emotional nature of the surely to be presented that a leg brace is warranted and will be ordered to be implemented while he is present in the courtroom. We also have a private area that can be outfitted, and I'll address continuing concerns moving forward. That is going to conclude our hearing. Use of the pen. He'll be provided with a felt pen. I'm going to ask that that be specific to Mr. Sterns. That will remain in the courtroom. When he comes and goes, he can have the flex pen in the back if he needs to write notes while we are not present in front of the jury. The court understands the concerns of the deputies, and I sympathize with that. The layout or the construction of the flex pen is different than the construction of ordinary pens. I fear that it may create a question in the mind of the jury as to his appropriative status. That would be prejudicial. So he'll be provided with a felt pen and he'll just leave it on the table.
Just a logistical matter, Your Honor. We are intending to bring a whiteboard or TV for the presentation of evidence next week, so as to protect as much as we can the sensitive nature of the material that we must show to the jury. So logistically, I just wanted to bring it to the court in defense's attention.
Will this be on a card?
Yes.
So what do you need from me? Place to put it?
We can bring it up when we intend to use it. I just wanted the court to know, because I know sometimes the court is going to need to get down to the evidence. I anticipate that we'll put it over closer to the jury so that the family who is also actually going to be present will not have view of it, also other individuals.
Evidence is obviously of a sensitive nature and is unlawful in and of itself. I am happy to provide the courtroom on the afternoon, 21st, if you want to wheel your equipment up or have your tech folks do so. Gameplay how you would like to present that. The attorneys will obviously have an opportunity to move about the courtroom as they need to observe evidence. Mr. Sterns also has a right to view the evidence being considered against him. So we're going to have to accommodate all of those competing interests to ensure that the jury has an opportunity to review the evidence that the state intends to present. Does the state intend to close the courtroom or request a closure of the courtroom during the presentation of any testimony or evidence?
So now they're basically saying that they want a whiteboard to present the evidence as far as I'm thinking the photos and videos of Maddie to try to help with that and keep, the public basically from seeing it. Crime Wars, good to see you. Crime Wars said, we want Stearns to have a solid defense during trial so he can't win any appeals on grounds that he had lackluster representation. Exactly. 100%. I agree. Exactly. Rhonda said they truly need to pin a mic near the collar so we can hear them during the trial. This mic system sucks right now. I know, and I'm hoping that the media is getting information that their audio is horrific so that when we have trial in a week, we will get to hear it better. Those of you that are going to trial, that's really interesting. I wish I could. I'd love to be there. No, said, I'm just interested as to what his possible defense could be. In second trial, he might try and blame Jen, but in this trial, what could he possibly say to refute all the evidence? I don't know. And like, what excuse is good enough for what he did? There is no excuse for what he did to that child. And there's no excuse for what he did to Madeline and the horrific things that he made her go through, the ordeals, pretending to be asleep. If he wasn't drugging her, and regardless if he was, she wasn't asleep. It breaks my heart. Hey, Running Bear. He has hair now. That helps. He has hair now that it helps his sick ass. Yeah. Hey, Michael. Good to see you. Oh my God. He does get to see the evidence. Disgusting. Yeah, he will see it, and so will the jury, but not the media.
Your Honor, that is the intention of utilizing the whiteboards, that only individuals that have to view the content. We do not have a surviving victim testify in this case, so I don't know that we necessarily.
So again, she's saying that they want to use a whiteboard so that only individuals that have to view the pictures and videos of Maddie are the ones that see it.
Any of the proceedings, however, due to the sensitive nature of the material that is going to be presented in the form of actual videos and photos and things, the state intends to utilize the whiteboard in an effort to prevent other individuals that do not need to see that evidence.
I anticipated some of the evidence was multimedia, and I didn't know whether that had sound or what the condition was going to be.
There are, I believe, 5 counts that are video with sound.
If the state makes a determination that closure of the court is warranted pursuant to statute and victim rights, Marcy's law, I'll ask that's your intention. You present that in writing, and we'll address that. Give the defense an opportunity to weigh in on that. Yes. Thank you. That's
Look at him.
Those are all the,
Yuck.
But as I said, the court will make itself available for the rest of this week and on Monday for access to the courtroom. If you have specialized concerns, equipment concerns, please be proactive in asking in advance and resolving those issues with court staff prior to jury selection beginning on Tuesday, the 22nd. That'll conclude our hearing. Thank you.
can provide those.
Run those, screen
There he goes.
Black color preference.
Yeah, I was gonna put it back.
I need to know what this is and what's going on.
All right, I'm about to talk normal again since court is over. Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to pull up this thing and then give you guys a second to turn down your TVs, and then I'll start talking normal. And we will go over Xiоsandra's video real quick as long as I can find it, because she talks about the plea deal and what people are saying and why she believes it's not gonna, or what she figured out about it. I haven't watched it yet because I had been at the lake. All right, I'm talking normal now. I hadn't watched it yet because I had been at the lake. So basically, again, to reiterate, he is going to be restrained. He's going to use a felt 10, and media has to adhere to these codes. So I'm going to try to see what these codes are real quick. Let's see. Mm. Hold on just a minute. Okay. Oh, wrong one. Okay, so Florida Rule of Judicial Administration 2.450, it says technological coverage of judicial proceedings. Florida Rule of Judicial Administration 2.450 pertains to technological cover of judicial proceedings. It allows electronic and still photography under the authority of the presiding judge, and ensuring decorum and preventing distractions during court proceedings. However, it prohibits photography, recording, or broadcasting in corridors, hallways, or lobbies of court facilities to avoid disrupting other court functions and compromising security. The rule aims to balance media access with the rights of litigants to a fair trial and safety of individuals in the courthouse. So basically, they're not going to be able to have cameras in the hallways and record in there. So let's try to take that out. I'm going to take out that administration and then see if we get anything on this. Yes. Okay. So Florida Rule of Judicial Administration Order 2023-23 is an administrative order in the Circuit Court of the Ninth Judicial Circuit in Orange and Osceola County, Florida. It revises portions relating to civil case management requirements and establishes reporting requirements for chief judges and judicial circuits. The order is consistent with Florida's Supreme Court Administrative Order, and it gives that Amendment 12, which creates case management requirements for civil cases. Administrative orders are directives by the chief judge necessary to properly administer to the court. But that really doesn't tell me what it means. Okay, well, that's what I found on those orders that were entered. No, I hope the jurors given therapy. Yeah, I hope so too. No. It's going to take an hour for that stank to disappear from the courtroom, no doubt. Nanny Goat said the TBI defense should fail. He has it since a child and never assaulted or killed anyone else before, to our knowledge. So why now with Maddie? Exactly. Hey, Lily Gal. Seeing one picture would be enough. I'm a local, and this case has rocked me to the core. We did her 14th birthday party and got the bench and plaque at Lakefront in St. Cloud. That was so very sweet of y'all. I saw that a lot of y'all had done that. That was really sweet. So again, just to reiterate, he's going to be able to use a regular pen. He's going to be restrained, and The media basically can't record in the corridors of the courthouse. Now, I haven't watched this video, but she told me she did this. Is Stephan Sterns taking a plea deal, trial delayed? This is from 4 days ago. So we're going to see what she has to say. This is our lovely moderator, Xiosandra, and I'm going to drop her link. Okay, hold on.
Mr. President, with you while you're being questioned. If you cannot afford to hire a lawyer, one will be appointed to represent you before any questionings if you wish. All right. You good, dude?
You good, dude?
Hey Guardians, welcome back to the channel. Xiosandra Firelight here. Today we're going to talk about the growing speculation around Stephan Sterns and the possibility of a plea deal.
Now, I just pinned her link to the top of the chat. If you're not subscribed to her, she's actually the one who told me about this hearing today and gave me the information. She's one of my moderators. She's really amazing. She always has like breaking news. So make sure you subscribe if you haven't.
In his upcoming CSAM trial. The trial, which was originally scheduled for next week, has been pushed out to July 22nd, and that delay has a lot of people asking, is something happening behind closed doors? We want to talk about some of the reasons why a plea deal might be in the works, and just as importantly, why it might not be happening at all. We'll get to that here in just a bit.
Hey, Callie.
So if you're new here, or you're just catching up, let's talk about who Stephan Sterns is. Stephan Sterns is a Florida man currently facing felony charges tied to the tragic death of 13-year-old Madeline Soto, as you see on the screen.
So real quick about that, Nanny Goat said, I think his mother has exaggerated his injuries, in my opinion. She has, and he also exaggerated his TBI in emails to Jessica, allegedly. I will drop some more emails probably tomorrow because today we're going to, at 1:30, my normal time that I stream, I've got to discuss some things going on. It's going to be a drama stream, so it's going to be different. It will be the only drama stream I have. If you have questions about the emails, the pen pal Jessica, and all that, that will be answered there, and you can ask questions about that. Starting tomorrow, I will work on dropping more of those emails. But again, he does reference the TBI and how, I mean, it's crazy what he says. So we will continue to go through those.
The case involves allegations of abuse of a sexual capacity since the teenager was as young as possibly 8 years old, exploitation via photos and video, and ultimately her homicide. Madeline was reported missing February the 26th of 2024. On February 29th, the sheriff's office announced that Sterns had been arrested as the prime suspect in Maddie's disappearance. Investigators said that detectives had discovered images and videos of a child's sexual abuse material when they researched his phone and Google Drive account. It's been stated that there is evidence that this data had attempted to be deleted ahead of Stephan Sterns' arrest. After a search by law enforcement and community volunteers, her body was found on March 1st, 2024, in a wooded area in Central Florida. Stephan Sterns is facing over 60 felony charges related to child sexual abuse material and the sexual battery of a minor. Sterns has since been charged separately with first-degree murder, and the state has formally announced its intent to seek the death penalty in that case. While the capital murder trial is still months away, the CSAM case is set to begin with jury selection on the 22nd of this month. The postponement has definitely fueled public speculation about whether a plea deal is being discussed behind the scenes. So why are people buzzing about a possible plea deal? Let's talk about why Stephan might be considering one at this time. Of course, I'm not a lawyer, so these are all speculative. These are all my opinions. As a matter of fact, let's put the banner down here. And all of this content falls under fair use. It's just for purposes of entertainment, criticism, commentary, and research purposes. My opinions are just that, mine and mine alone.
He was really intelligent, because I was concerned about a plea deal too, but she told me she breaks it down, and like I said, I'm watching this video with you guys. She's really smart.
The evidence is overwhelming. That's my first reason. A judge
Right.
recently ruled that prosecutors can use evidence that was seized from Stern's phone and his Google Drive. That includes all of the images, the videos, the location data, placing him at the crime scene. If that goes to trial, that evidence is going to be in front and center, and it's pretty damning, if you ask my opinion. The second reason, maybe he wants to avoid a public spectacle. Stern's defense attorney has already tried to close the courtroom to the public. That's a strong indicator that they want to avoid the scrutiny that a public trial brings. A plea deal would keep things a lot quieter.
Mm-hmm.
The third reason, the death penalty is coming. The CSAM trial is just a start. Stearns is also facing first-degree murder charges in Madeline's death, and prosecutors have formally declared their intent to pursue the death penalty. A plea deal now could be part of a larger negotiation strategy for that death penalty case. The fourth reason I think that they could be discussing a plea deal is because it could spare the family further trauma. Prosecutors sometimes offer or accept plea deals to protect the victims' families from repeated graphic and emotionally grueling trials. This may weigh into a decision for a plea deal. The trial delay could also signal some type of negotiations. The last minute shift in the trial date might suggest that the sides are still in active discussion. Plea deals often come together right before a trial when the stakes are at their highest, obviously. So before we continue, and because I want to go over some reasons against the plea deal and why that may not factually be true, let's take a look at the video that was released by Court TV. It's along the same subject line and might introduce a bit of insight into why we're even talking about a plea deal for Stephan.
Sure. Stearns is not present, and it was my understanding that the defense was not requesting his appearance today, and his appearance with us was waived. Is that correct?
Yes, Judge.
Thank you. It's unusual that the court doesn't defer to a joint motion to continue. Under this case, I'm a little, I need some additional information as to the grounds. Suppose the following. I understand that, number one, this is that the assistant state attorneys are in high demand, and unfortunately they have a lot of cases that are pending. I also am mindful of the fact that the orders on the motion to suppress came out close in time to the pretrial. I'll note that it's be about 3 full weeks until we selected a jury on this case. Based on those factors, the motion to continue, is going to be denied. I will.
So that's where the judge lets us know that the motion to continue, which was put in and agreed to jointly by both prosecutors and defense, that he intends to deny that motion and that his request will be that the trial and jury selection begins on July 22nd. But it does seem that he did address the fact that he thinks that the attorneys were in high demand and there may be other things going on that we are not seeing behind the scenes, other trials or other things that have a time constraint and might be consuming some of the lawyer's time as well. So that could be a possible reason for them wanting the joint continuance. Maybe they're both busy on both sides.
Make concessions.
I think, yeah, I think they're both busy on both sides trying to get ready for the trial and anything to delay it. Plus, with the Osceola County Sheriff getting those charges and everything happening with him, I mean, I can definitely understand them wanting to try to get a continuance. I haven't seen the witness list, Amanda, and I don't know how you could get it. I am in contacts with the state attorney's office and I can request it, but I don't think that's been released. Yeah, Summer Wells did disappear. It was June 15th of 2021. I do hope that they find her soon. I did look it up. You're thinking it's June. I do that sometimes. Poodle equals poodle. There's poodle's name is Abby and poodle equals poodle. Their poodle's name is Abby. Wait a minute. What are we talking about? Deb is Abby Poodle. Interesting.
To when the trial will begin, I think I'd like to begin Jury selection on July 22nd. Potential opening statements would, depending on jury selection, be on the 25th with either the presentation of evidence in an order that accommodates unavailability of witnesses beginning that Friday or on Monday, July 28th.
So there's a little bit more insight. So it looks like jury selection is scheduled to begin on the 22nd, as he stated, possibly a couple of days to pick the jury, and then opening statements and presentation of evidence really scheduled to begin around the 25th. And it looks like there may have been some sort of delay also, or some problem with getting one of the witnesses or some of the witnesses in there to testify, and that might have also been a technicality that they were considering for continuance as well.
So he's facing two cases: the sexual assault for everything that was found on his phone that he memorialized in the first trial, with a life sentence at the end of that. Then following that, a murder trial, which is followed by a potential death sentence.
Right.
Okay? That's what he's facing. So he had filed.
So if they can get him on the CSAM, that proves an aggravating factor, which will get him on the death penalty.
The motion to suppress all the evidence from the cell phone. It was.
And we just put out a video going over that yesterday. If you want to know where that is, it is under the playlist for Madeline Soto. And obviously we know that the judge has decided that that evidence is allowed to be entered into the courtroom. And of course, that's why we still have the CSAM trial going to go on.
Was denied. And once it was denied, then the prosecution and defense together were asking for a continuance of that first trial. And
I'm not 100% certain if we're on the same page, Vinny and I. The motion to continue on the Osceola County website was filed on June 26th.
Yep.
And the Google motion hearing, or the motion to allow the Google stuff to be let into the CSAM trial, was posted on July the 1st. So I'm not 100% on board with what he's about to say, with what he just said, as it's factually backwards. According to the website, to the Osceola County website, and anybody who needs to find that, let me know. I'd be glad to help you guys find and locate the documents that are in this case that are public to us. But yeah, the 26th was the date that we saw that they put in a joint motion for continuance. And then on July the 1st is when we saw the allowance for the Google searches, or for the Google Drive, to be admitted into court, or admissible into the court setting. I'm just not on board with the same timeline as he has. So I'm going to back it up just a tiny bit to make sure I heard that right. But
so basically what she's pointing out is that if we go, actually I'll go ahead and do it. So if you go to Google, I'm not going to highlight all this, but go to Google, type in Osceola County Clerk of Court, click on Office of Kevin Soto ESQ, which stands for Esquire, Osceola County Clerk of Court. You get to this page. Once you click on that, you click the court record search right here. And then it's going to take you to a page where you enter the name, Sterns. I am not a robot. Search. Now you have all of these. The CSAM trial is the third one down. We're going to click on that. We're going to wait for it to load. You can see all of his charges. Down here, joint motion to continue, where the documents are requested. I do have those documents out. I got them from the state attorney's office. They are on my page. But what she's saying is, see, the date that was entered is June 26th of 2025, right? And then the jury trial set, I think she's talking about that one. Oh, no, I apologize. The order denying defendant's motion to suppress evidence obtained from unlawful searches and seizure of cell phone was entered July 1st. Also, the order denying defendant's motion to suppress evidence obtained from Google search warrant is also entered July 1st. He's going to have it backwards, is what she's saying. So the correct way to present this, which is how it is on the website, is that the joint motion to continue was entered June 26th. The orders denying defendant's motion to suppress all the evidence was entered July 1st. Okay, so we're going to go back to her video. All right.
Once it was denied, then the prosecution and defense
Timmy.
together were asking for a continuance of that first trial. And I'm thinking,
See, that's not accurate because they asked for a continuance before the motions were denied. That's wrong. Vinnie Politan, unfortunately, I'm sorry to say, you're wrong right now because the joint motion to continue was entered before the orders denying his motions to suppress.
what's going on here? Why all of a sudden do we want to
Thinking.
delay? What's going on? Now, the defense knows they have no defense. It's over, right? The only defense was not getting this information in front of the jury. It's getting in front of the jury all the pictures of the defendant and the little girl. Is he working on a deal? Is the state attorney working on a deal with Stephan Sterns? Is that possible?
Doesn't Vinny look as mad as we are about this? I'm absolutely here for it. I'm absolutely here for the fact that he's been covering this case along with many other creators on YouTube, many other news outlets. I'm totally on board with the fact that he is keeping this case alive and that he is just as disgusted as we are about this. I will say that much.
We're going to have another one of these where we use the death penalty as a negotiating tool rather than as a punishment. Let's bring back in our think tank. Al Wants III is with us. Jennifer Brandt and Darnell Crossland. Do you smell something funny going on here, Jennifer?
I certainly do, Vinny. I think they're definitely working on a deal because, like you said, he has no defense now. The pictures are out there. We know what he did. It's on his phone. It's memorialized. So what is he going to say? Someone else put them there. They're fake. I mean, there's not much he can say. So, maybe they're working on a deal overall to try to
wrap it all up, right? Wrap up the murder
exactly.
and the years and years and years of sexual assault of this little girl.
Just like we saw in Idaho. I mean, I don't think it's much different. We just saw this happen.
So I do think that her mentioning the fact that this isn't much different from Idaho does this case a little bit of an injustice, and that's just my total personal opinion on that. I don't think that we can compare the two of these to, I think it's apples to oranges in my opinion. Yes, there was a homicide, but I don't believe that those cases in relation to plea deals or how those come across are any way related. Again, my opinion only.
It's probably they're taking one out of that playbook and trying to work out a deal for him.
Yeah, I mean, both sides.
So I'm curious as to why Vinnie Politan went with this because that is not accurate information. So unless he knows that they filed another motion to continue after the motions to suppress were denied, that's the only way this makes sense. Like, did we make a whole entire show with having people come up and discuss it and all of that? Like, all of these people are running with misinformation? Is that what we're doing? I mean, I'm just asking. I'm not sure. I'm asking because I don't know. I'm not trying to insinuate anything. I'm just asking because I don't understand. I was also going to point out that picture of Maddie with the balloons behind her and the little dress she's got on. I mean, she was just so beautiful. 12th birthday party. And I mean, to see her right there smiling like that, she looks adult already, but I know everything she was going through breaks my heart.
Probably they're taking one out of that playbook and trying to work out a deal for him.
Yeah, I mean, both sides here, Al, were asking for this continuance. It wasn't just the defense, both sides. Usually that this date has been set. The judge did not give the full continuance. He only gave a week. What are your thoughts about what's going on here? Is it really just time to prepare for this trial?
It's definitely they're coming up with some sort of a universal settlement to this matter. I mean, there's no doubt in my mind that that's what they're doing. If they were not doing that, the prosecution would not be consenting or making a joint application for the extension. Obviously, they don't have a problem putting forward their case in the sexual assault aspect of this with the phone coming in. I mean, the case is solid, but the question is on the next aspect, the murder case, whether or not, there may be some cause for pause that they may be having, that they're saying, you know what, we can wrap this whole thing up. We can get a guilty plea in both, and then we can move on. So I think
he makes a valid point, except for let's go back again and look at what I was talking about. If you look at the dates, the joint motion to continue was from the 26th of June, which was before the order and the motion to suppress the evidence being lifted. The searches of the cell phone and the Google search warrant was on July the 1st. So my thought process is, would they have been negotiating a plea deal without knowing that this evidence was going to be admitted into court? Why would they have talked about a plea deal before that if they had no idea that this evidence was going to be allowed to be there?
may be the situation in here in this instance.
Darnell, the first charges are a life sentence. I don't know what his defense is. Like, they're going to take the images from his phone and let the jury look at them, and it's a little girl being sexually assaulted, both in still images and videos, and it's his phone, it's his genitalia, and it's a little girl, and it's over the course of years. Life sentence. If he gets an offer of a life sentence or 2 consecutive life sentences, I don't know how he can turn it down. Because at the other end is the death sentence. Do you think there is a potential deal at work here?
Well, there's always a potential deal at work. The prosecution.
No, not if you have a prosecutor who believes in using the death penalty for punishment rather than for a tool.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So a lot of these prosecutors,
What was that about?
And look at his face, his sad little grumpy ass face right there.
Say that again?
No. Because at the other end is the death sentence. Do you think there is a potential deal at work here?
Well,
Darla, your comment got me so excited, I just yeeted myself. There's these buttons on the side of my mouse, and it makes me yeet myself. Let me pull this back up. That's the only thing that I'm thinking. But if that's the case, and let me read your comment. Darla said, didn't the judge say they both tried to continue, though? Maybe we just don't see the newest motion. I don't know. And that's what I'm wondering. Is there a motion or something we don't know about? Or does Vinnie Politan really have it wrong and he just ran with it through this whole episode? Because again, like she showed and I showed, joint motion to continue is under June 26th. And then the suppression evidence denials are July the 1st. It doesn't make any sense. The only way that it can make sense is if there's a motion we don't know about where they ask to continue after July 1st. And if that's the case, I mean, I know the media gets information before we do, but is it even legal to have motions like that not entered on the court document website? I mean, maybe there's motions that are not accessible to the public. I don't know. Thank you, Kimmy C. I just got it the other day. He meant Koberger's plea deal is what Anders said. Vinny did. Okay. Yeah. Swiped out. I said, yeet. I can request. Yeah, I'll request it, but I don't know. If I'll get anything because I don't know if there is anything. Hey, Ali X. Good to see you.
Not if you have a prosecutor who believes in using the death penalty for punishment rather than for a tool.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So a lot of these prosecutors, we've covered this on these shows where the prosecutors will start to negotiate and not man up and take it straight to the gate, as they say. In this particular case, first of all, let's not get confused with a motion to suppress to say that because that was denied that means everything is coming in. Because as lawyers, and as a prosecutor, you have to be able to move evidence in, and that takes some skill in how you move it in, when you move it in. So just because the judge didn't suppress it doesn't mean it's going to be moved in.
The way he said that as a punishment, is that implied that the death penalty is being used to exact justice through the harshest retribution, to punish the defendant because they deserve it? Well, what is the death penalty for? Come on. In lieu of a tool instead of. So this means the prosecutor's not using the death penalty as a tool, as a bargaining chip to secure a plea deal or extract cooperation from the defendant? Or do you think they're trying to pressure him into a confession or pressuring him into testimony? I mean, he's trying to imply that the prosecutor is less interested in outcomes for solving the case, preventing future crimes. Or is he just trying to get information? Is he interested in just punishing him with the harshest possible penalty, even if it's not the most strategic choice? I think it would come up in a case where a plea deal might spare the victim's family a painful trial, which is what we're talking about here, right? Or where cooperation might help bring justice to other victims. But the prosecutor pushes for the death penalty anyway, because they believe it's for just punishment. I don't know. You tell me what you think about that.
Right. And so when the judge says, listen, it's unusual to deny a joint application for continuance. He said that. He said, but I'm going to do it, and I'll give you some trial concessions later. He's saying that I don't like what's happening here either. We're going to move this thing either to a settlement or we're going to try this case. But I'm not going to have you guys cozying up and doing some things that I don't support.
But he just made that up out of the middle of nowhere. He just made that up out of his own mouth. So again, it's speculation, or it's in his own words, right? We're pushing them to a settlement. So we're either going to settle this or we're going to go to court and get it done. The judge didn't say that. He did say that it was unusual for him not to go ahead and address the fact that they both wanted a joint, motion for continuance. But I did not hear him say at any point, in my opinion, that it's you either push for a plea deal or we're going to trial. That's it. That's all. So that's in this guy's own words. What do you guys think?
So that's what I.
So again, this is Xiosandra. She's one of the mods over here. I have her link pinned to the top of the comment section. If you have not subscribed to her, please do so. I mean, you can see how really talented she is at all of this. She's very smart. So definitely make sure you subscribe if you haven't.
Got from that. Now, in terms of whether in fact there's negotiation here, the death penalty is the ultimate. And a lot of people politically don't like it. Al doesn't like it. So if they can say, hey, you're going to die or you're going to take life in jail, it is a a negotiating tool. And so if they can do a global dispo for the murder and that, one life is one life. These pleas where you have or sentences where you have 10 lives just don't make any sense. You only get one. So a natural life is, if he gets that, that's it. Not the 40 or 60-year life that some state has.
So he did just mention a global dispo or a global disposition. It's shortened to global dispo. It's a legal term that they use in criminal cases when multiple charges or cases against a defendant are resolved together in one single plea agreement. Instead of handling each charge separately, the defense and the prosecution will work out a deal that covers everything all at once, all the charges, all the jurisdictions, if there is more than one, and sometimes even any kind of like unrelated cases, like say he was on parole for burglary or something. So yeah, it saves time, saves resources for the courts. It also lets the defendant know, with that all of their full legal exposure is going to be resolved in a global dispo.
This is real. You do the time in Florida. Florida, unlike other states, you do the time. You get the sentence, you're going to do the time. Al, you were scowling, I believe.
No, it's scowling only because this aspect of it, I mean, it is a tool. And it is a tool that should be used effectively. And if you can guarantee that there's going to be no appeals and nothing else down the line, then they've got this man locked up forever. And he's gone. And he's done. Okay?
Shaker Maker, good to see you. Said they both wanted a continuation because the judge took so long to respond to the phone getting thrown out. And that's what I think we're getting at here. It's and then he put out the response afterwards. Like, I don't think it has to do with the plea deal.
It is a worse situation to be sitting in that prison than even a death penalty in some instances, especially when you have that kind of crime against a small child. He's going to be very popular in general population.
But
So do you think even if he is convicted, they'll ever put him into general population? Because people don't take lightly to people who have been charged with this type of, CSAM or homicide against a small,
Hey,
a
Madeline.
young child from the ages of 8 to 13, ultimately, resulting in her death. I'm not sure that he'll ever even end up in general population.
The circumstances, you know what? I would be, if I was him, I'd be asking for the death penalty rather than living what he's going to be living for the rest of his life.
Jennifer Brent, I got to give you the last 10 seconds.
Thanks, Vinny. I don't agree with Al there. I mean, the death penalty is death, and this little girl is never coming back. So, I mean, he can go to prison, and there are people that manage very well, it appears, in prison, and they still have a life, and they still can learn and do things and, create things.
They have good days, they have bad days.
So let's finish talking about this. Reasons against a plea deal. Let's talk about that. I listed 5 of the reasons I think they would not introduce a plea deal. We've heard about why they would, but we haven't really heard about why they wouldn't. My first reason, he's facing life regardless. He's got over 60 charges and a murder trial still ahead. Sterns can feel like he's already facing the maximum penalty. A plea deal doesn't necessarily change that outcome.
Right.
He is already facing the maximum penalty for the CSAM trial. So, I mean, a plea deal on top of saying you're still already going to get life regardless. It doesn't matter whether you take a plea deal or not. It's not going to change the outcome of your life. So why would he sit there and take a plea deal instead of going through the trials on, the thought process that maybe he will get away with it? Maybe that his peers see that differently. Obviously, we're not sitting there in a court full of evidence, so we don't know what evidence they have on him. Maybe he knows something we don't know. The second reason, I think, the defense still has some suppression motions. Sterns' lawyers might believe they can undermine some of the evidence, especially if they think law enforcement overstepped with digital searches. They might give them the confidence to go ahead and go to trial. They wouldn't take a plea deal if they thought they could win. The third reason is just,
I mean, and again, I don't think the state's going to go for a plea deal either because there's so much evidence against him. I mean, they've got the videos, they've got the photos. It's admitted into court. It's going to be there. Like, there's no reason to take a plea deal unless he flips on other PDF files in the area or GIN or something like that. But I mean, I don't know. I think they've got him pretty much nailed to the wall with the CSAM anyway.
simple ego and denial. Some of the high profile defendants just won't admit guilt. Perfect example, Wade Wilson. Whether it's denial or narcissism, just a desire to fight until the end, Sterns may not be emotionally or psychologically open to a plea. If he believes what he's saying, he's not going to just be like, yeah, I did it. Now, in that regards, I will compare it to the Idaho Brian Koberger because I thought the same thing. There's no way that this man with such an ego and such education would ever cop to a plea deal. And indeed, that's what he's done. So then again, we could be surprised. But yeah, ego and denial. The fourth reason, prosecutors might refuse any of the deals. While the volume and severity of the charges and a young child as the victim, prosecutors may choose to take this all the way, regardless of what Sterns wants. And
I hope they do. Cara said, don't forget they recently shut down a CSAM ring in that area, stretching to Tampa with links in Turkey. I'm glad they got that ring shut down, and I'm curious as to whether it is related to him as well. That's a good point, Cara. Hey, a name here. Good to see you.
that could be a statement case. I think that they may not want to take a deal from him, even if he says, I do want a deal, but
Right.
they're just not going to take it. The fifth one, the victim's family may oppose it. Again, I'll bring up the Idaho 4. The victims' families are divided in that case. Half of the families believe that the plea deal was the best option to avoid things that they didn't want to see, and the other half believes that it takes away their opportunity and their voice for getting that out there and for being able to see justice for their families. But families have a voice in plea discussions for the most part. If Madeline's family is adamant that there should be no deals, that would definitely influence the state's position and keep this case headed for trial. That's just my opinion, of course. So, what do you guys think? Is there a deal in the works? Do you think that? Is it too early to say for sure? I don't know. I mean, it's coming up on the 22nd. We're about 12 days out, less than 2 weeks. Um, the evidence is stacked. The pressure's building. If this delay is raising eyebrows, it must be for some reason, right? If Stearns accepts a plea in the CSAM case, it might be to avoid the full public impact of the trial or to try and get a more favorable sentence before the murder trial begins. I want to know what you think. Is the delay just scheduling noise, or are the lawyers behind the scenes working out a deal? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Let's talk about it. If you're appreciating the analysis, like, subscribe, and consider supporting the channel, maybe by joining the Guardians of Firelight crew. However this ends, my hope is to see justice for Madeline Soto. She deserved safety, joy, and a full life. I'm not going to forget her. None of us are going to forget her. As always, thank you for hanging with Hio.
So that is Xiosandra Firelight. She again is her link is at the top of the chat box. You can see how intellectual she is. So definitely subscribe if you haven't. She is amazing. Cara said BK confessed to everything and took a plea deal. Allegedly, not sure if it's true. He's going to do a tell-all on it. I read about it somewhere, but I can't find anything else on it. So maybe he's going to talk about it. Interesting. There were definitely a lot of arrests after they got his phone. Hopefully they got the leads from his phone, and at least that way poor Maddie's suffering may have helped catch more than just him. That's a good point. No. Hey, Crackerjacks, we're about to end this one, and I'll be back at 1:30. Lady K said, what's up with the other pics that was found? Is that being investigated? I'm not sure. If you think about the dark web, rumor has it that they have to give CSAM in order to sell CSAM. Like they have to buy CSAM themselves to sell the CSAM. So that way, if one person gets implicated, basically everybody gets implicated, and they do it to make sure you're not a cop. So if I had to guess, I would think what's on the USB drive, and this is just my opinion, I would think that it's CSAM that he received or might have looked at in order to exchange and sell photos and videos of Maddie. I genuinely think he was selling and distributing them because he had over 1,000 images. That's not personal use, in my opinion. And, if he's doing it with Maddie, he obviously liked to look at it. So because he's not the perpetrator on those files, as far as we know, I don't know that anything will happen with that because they've got him as a perpetrator with Maddie. If they didn't have him as that, like him actually doing it, yeah, he probably would be taken to court on that. But because they have him with a better way to get him convicted, I think that I don't think they're really worried about that USB drive. Lady K talks. I hope if you're available to be here at 1:30, that would be really cool. If not, try to check out that stream. I know it's drama. I'm only going to do drama one time. In an hour, I'll be back live. We are going to discuss some drama that's been going on with the pen pal and the emails and on YouTube. It will be the only time that I talk about it. After that, I'm going to drop all of it and we will continue going over emails. So if you have questions, comments, concerns, that is the place to do it. I will open the panel for anybody that wants to come up and talk that may be blocked. With that, I'm going to go. I will play the outro song and I will see y'all in an hour. And I will highlight your comments as we do the outro. Thank you all for being here today. If I don't see you again, you are enough, you are important, you are special, and you are loved. And I will see y'all in an hour. Thank you again. Bye.
Listen up, I gotta tell you, there is something you should know. I have never really liked you at all. I cannot hide it anymore. around.